It is the most underlooked, it's not focused enough on when you're building a team. We look at this, oh, what skills? Oh, great, you're analytical, great. I'm more of a people person, great, we can be partners, great. Experience, oh, awesome, you have that experience, I have that, well, let's go partner up. Well, that's too quick, don't move that quickly. This is the most underlooked and under-focused, so to speak, area that you need to focus on in building a team. And what do I mean by that? It's your personality. So we're going to start with a story, okay? It's the end of the day. We're almost there to the end of the conference. So we're just going to start with a story as we jump into team building. How many know Socrates? Obviously, you've heard. Awesome. So one of his students came up to him one day and said, Socrates, did you know, I just heard something about your student, something I need to tell you. He goes, before you tell me anything about my student, you need to pass a test. It's the test of 3. He goes, okay. So the first test is the test of truthfulness. Is what you're about to tell me something true? He goes, I don't really know if it's something true. He goes, okay, maybe you'll pass the second test. The second test is the test of goodness. Is what you're about to tell me something good about my student? He goes, no, it's actually not good at all. He goes, okay, so you want to tell me something that you don't know if it's going to be true or not, and it's not even good about the person. He goes, and he started to walk away. He goes, hold on, before you leave, you have to pass the third test. And the third test is the test of usefulness. Is what you're about to tell me something useful about my student? And he goes, no, it's not at all. He goes, so you don't want to tell me something true, good, or useful. Why even tell me? This is obviously why Socrates was held in such high regard and respect. It also tells you why he didn't know that Plato was dating his wife. So, so I'm going to tell a lot of corny jokes, so you have to laugh at my corny jokes. So as we jump into the topic here, I'm going to give the clicker here to my husband, Matt. But we're going to teach this, and it's going to be about team building. Matt's going to talk a little bit about our real estate background and how we've pulled some teams together, and teams that have worked and teams that haven't worked. So we're going to try to share the good, bad, and ugly with you. But before we do that, my background also is corporate training. So I did this alongside helping build our real estate company. I worked with companies all sizes, from Fortune 500 to startups, and helping them build teams for about 12 years. So I'm not doing it actively now, but that's my experience. So as I share things, just know it's coming from that place, not just our own company. So.
Cool. We're the DeRosa Group. That's our company. The DeRosa, by the way, is her mother's maiden name, if you guys want to know. And Liz and we're the DeRosa Group, just the two of us. We were a team, and we're a husband and wife team, and we've assembled teams in our real estate business over the years. We've been in business for 13 years, and we've assembled teams that didn't work and teams that did work. And so what we want to share with you today is what we've learned about what works, how to assemble teams that work. Because what I'll submit to you guys is, who has big real estate goals? Okay. Who thinks they can hit their real estate goals all by themselves without help from anybody else? Right? Cool. So you need people. And as Joe Fairless talked about yesterday, you need teams. Just teams are required in real estate because real estate typically has big, hairy, audacious goals. And there's a lot of huge successes that comes through real estate. So it's possible to share in those wins. So maybe I don't need to, take every dime that comes across the table in a real estate transaction. Maybe I can share with Rick or somebody else, right? You keep sitting up front during my presentation. I keep picking on you. You'll learn one day not to sit right up front in one of my talks because I keep picking on you, right? So in a team arrangement, I can win alongside someone else. And this presentation is about how to build successful real estate teams, okay? So here's a brief agenda we're going to talk about. So what do you need? Now, this is about gaining alignment on a team and being on the same page, because in some facets you do need to be on the same page, and we're going to talk about what pages you need to be on and where to gain diversity. So what holes do I have? What are my blind spots as a real estate investor that I can bring on somebody like whoever to help me fill what I can't do myself, what I'm not great at, whatever it is. So that's talking about diversity on teams. Common roadblocks that may show up in a team and how to dissolve those roadblocks. Ongoing activity you have to do, because here's something. After you form a team, you have to maintain it. Because teams will fall apart. They require maintenance to keep them going, right? So we're going to talk about that. So let's talk about what you need, okay, on a team. Who do you need on your team to achieve your goals? So we're going to talk about internal team members. So somebody name an internal team member. When I say internal, I mean like somebody in-house. So what would be an internal team member? A bookkeeper. Okay, this is somebody on my side, somebody that's being paid by me. Okay, an internal team member is somebody that's being compensated by me directly, that works for me, works on my team. Okay, works for my company, that perhaps follows the scope of work that I gave them and what they're supposed to do for me. An external team member is someone like what? Somebody name an external team member that maybe doesn't work directly for my company as either an employee or an independent contractor, but an attorney. Somebody's an attorney or a realtor, or something like that. They are hopefully aligned with my goals, and I've communicated those goals to them, but they work for a separate entity. They're an external team member. We're going to talk quickly, generally about a deal that we did. As you've probably heard us talk about all weekend, because we're very proud of it and really excited, we bought a 198-unit apartment building in North Carolina. But I'm going to get you guys to give feedback, too, about deals that you guys have done as well. So we're going to shout out a few team members, and I'll help you guys out, too, for different stages of the real estate process. So this is like a real estate cradle to grave, beginning to middle of end type of a real estate transaction. So who are some team members, internal and external, that I need to help me find a property? Agent. Right. Wholesaler, right. Wholesaler, bird dog, real estate agent. These are all people I have to have aligned with my goals, so they're going to help me find the property. For North Carolina, we had a real estate agent with a large commercial real estate house that we told, we want to find this in this area. And he went forth and found it for us. So it's about communicating directly what you want, okay? And being very tight about it, and not saying, hey, I want an apartment building anywhere in the U.S. I want an apartment building that is in this general area, in this demographic, like in this range of units. Be as specific as you can with your goals to people that help you find properties, and they can do that. Now, analyzing the deal, it's different. I found a deal, now what do I do with it? Is it a deal or not? I don't know. So on this, we had an underwriter business partner. So a partner of mine analyzed that property all the way down to the nuts and bolts and said, deal or no deal, okay? So you can do this yourself. You can outsource it. There are people you can hire to analyze bigger deals for you. Or you can even use kind of sort of team members that provide things like software, or use the bigger pockets calculators to analyze deals. But this is a process, and it's typically not done all by yourself, or at least if you analyze a deal, you got the numbers, maybe there's a mentor you can run that analysis by to make sure, yeah, that looks right. Or maybe you missed something, right? Now, purchasing the property. This is a big one. So start shouting out team members that help me actually get to the closing table where we ink the deal. Title agent. Next. Again, this was a $6 million purchase, so who do I absolutely have to have on my team to make sure all my I's are dotted and T's are crossed? A lawyer. You know how thick those mortgage documents were, right? So I had to have a lawyer on my team. Finance, right? There's two sides of finance, okay? What are the two sides? Debt. So I had to have a mortgage broker, and I also had to have a bank, and I also had and on a bigger deal like this, the bank had their own lawyer, which was great, and I had to pay them too. How's that? They work for them, but I had to pay them. What? I had to pay your bill? What? Yeah, you should have seen that bill. Wow. Anyway, geez. So what else? So that's the debt side, okay? We got that covered. On the, what's the other side? Equity, okay? So there's the equity side of the deal. Now, team members on smaller deals or whatever, buying a duplex could just be your own money, or it could be what? Private money, investors, people that come alongside you. In like gargantuan size deals, there are people that will go out and find you equity. Not on a $100,000 equity deal, but on a large equity deal, there are team members you can bring on board that you can pay to find you equity for deals. Not all of it. You still got to come up with some of it yourself, but there are team members.
You mean private money investors?
So a private money investor, independent investor putting in their own capital into the deal. That is an equity investor. There are also people that will go out and find that have big equity investors that'll put in a larger chunk of the money. This particular deal, that apartment building had 35 different investors on it, right? So then there's the renovation of the deal, because this was not a nice shiny penny when we bought it. It's still not. So who, like in renovating, even in a small deal, this could be this applies to fix and flips. That applies to renovating an apartment building. This applies to the BRRRR strategy on a single-family home. Who do I need on board to renovate a property? Contractors, right? Yeah, right. And maybe just a GC or a lot of subs. So plumbers, roofers, whatever. You've got to like get down to the nitty gritty with those folks and tell them what time goals there are. Like what, don't just turn them loose. Let them know this is what I want to see. Communicate your needs to all the people that are on this side of the renovation side of it too. For that deal in North Carolina, there's also a third-party construction manager. There are contractors, and there's a construction manager that has a timeline that we develop with them and a construction budget that we develop with them, and their job is to hold the job on budget. So managing the property. So property manager, maybe there's employees or maybe it's just you. But if it's just you, there's also the maintenance staff, perhaps, that are maintaining things. Unless you're going out there and unclogging toilets and stuff like that, there is a team that's involved in managing the property. What is a common goal I want to communicate to a property manager or a maintenance person? I want to say, what? Vacancy rate. Response time to maintenance calls. Okay? Is it acceptable if a maintenance call was turned in 3 weeks ago and it hasn't been responded to yet, right? No, not. So communicate expectations. So sell the property or refinance the property. So for this deal that we did, we bought it, we're going to renovate it. I got a little pointer here, there you go. I'm going to renovate it, and then we're going to refinance it, and years down the road, we're going to sell it. So on the selling side, I've got maybe the same agent that helped me find it, right? And I've also got the refinance of the property, which on a deal like this plays in to the investors as well. So in the refinance, maybe I'm returning capital, maybe I'm doing something else with the refinance money, but obviously probably this same banker that got involved in this gets involved in this side of it too, right? Cool.
What is the biggest, do you think, challenge with, not just who you need, but what's the biggest challenge, do you think, that happens when people start building teams? Basis what Matt was just, communication. Chemistry? No? Aligning goals, actually mapping out your goals. So a lot of you, how many people are walking away with like tons of ideas from this weekend? Tons, right? And it's overwhelming, right? You're hearing all these different people, how they did their success, and that's really inspiring. But the worst thing you could do is start getting into action on these buckets before you do what? Figure out what your goals are, and then what's your strategy. And once you got that figured out, you can figure out who you need.
Right.
And I think that's the biggest challenge too. And we've laid victim to that a bunch of times.
Yeah.
We jump in too quickly.
Yeah. To speak personally further, Liz and I didn't find that we created real success in our life until we set goals for ourselves and stuck to them and didn't allow all the noise and the shiny nickels and stuff like that to pull us away from manifesting our goals. That's when change happened, is when like, this is where I want to go, and I'm not going to take the blinders off unless the market changes or unless I decide to, unless I decide to change the goal doesn't change, okay? So, and that's the biggest thing you guys that's the biggest takeaway. All you guys, as Liz just said, to go home as your head's spinning and set some goals on where you guys want to go. After today, inspirations you got, okay, you know what, as of Monday, April 23rd, I'm not going to go here. This is where I want to be in 5 years. Okay, so quickly we talked about internal team. We shouted out a bunch of different stuff. So bookkeepers and a property manager, if you're going to do it in-house. If you're going to manage in-house, this property manager works directly for you. If it's not, it's an external person that you hired. So there's a leasing agent, again, that may work for you or maybe someone who's following your directive or something like that. Currently, we have an in-house leasing agent for our portfolio up in Trenton. Maintenance handy person, again, if you've got a portfolio big enough to handle this. But even if it's not, even if this is a third party, they should be marching on your orders. So this really is internal, by the way, because the things like turnaround time and vacancy rates that you expect for that parameter that you're going to manage by, and how quickly maintenance calls get responded to. Subs, third-party property management company, advisors, mentor, business coach. So I want to make sure that these get viewed as internal folks as well, because these are folks that should be aligned. That's not that your mastermind group works directly for you, but you should have such a tight network if you have a mastermind group that you should view them as like your kind of inside, your inner circle. You guys heard the term inner circle? Like your finance, institutional, your private money, your hard money, your investors, your title company, your insurance company. All these folks all work. I forgot insurance company. That's a huge one. right? And if you think insurance is what it is, think again. You can negotiate insurance, you can find ways to get insurance costs down, and you can also make sure that you're properly covered on insurance, you know? Because insurance is like, it's just an unnecessary expense until you need it, you know? Until you need it. And I've been around long enough. I mean, I've had it all happen. I've had fires, floods, all of it. And because we were properly insured, we've been covered. So mortgage broker works outside on an external team. Realtors do, commercial brokers as well, wholesalers. Again, for realtors and wholesalers, once you guys set those goals, be very clear what you want. Because my buddy Rick, okay, how many times you get calls from people telling you want to invest in real estate, but they don't give you any real specifics or anything like that? They just tell you they want to rent a property anywhere in the state of New Jersey, right?
Several times a week.
Several times a week. And you're not going to take that seriously because you know it's not right. So here's the thing. If you're not clear with these people on your goals, they're not going to take you seriously. And you're probably not going to get that call. Local community businesses, and this is something that we've done for apartment buildings, or even, it's just good to be a good neighbor. So if you guys buy a duplex, there's a pizza shop on the corner, go in there and buy a $10 gift card. So when your tenants move in, the day they move in, give them the gift card so they can get a pizza from that local shop. You know what will happen? That local shop will let you start displaying for rent ads in their shop because you become a strategic partner, okay? Because when people move, they don't want to cook, right? The day they move, they're always going to order pizza. So go get them a pizza from the local spot, and then they'll let you they probably will let you advertise there if you buy a little gift card every year you guys get a new tenant. For a 198 unit apartment building, we're doing that, and they're going to put an ad for our apartment building on the top of the box, right? So, yeah, but I got to buy a free pizza every time one of my tenants move in. It's all right. It's okay. I'm going to buy a lot of pizza, I think. But. All right. So these are areas to gain alignment. I've talked a lot about who you need to gain alignment with, okay? So values. So we talked a bit about things like, vacancy rates, but also about maintenance response time. What's behind things like maintenance response time for our company? The mantra for the DeRosa Group, it's like in microscopic letters, but it says transforming lives through real estate. So that's a value, because that's what our company does. We change lives with our company by people that invest with us, by people that live in our properties, by people that, whatever it is. And I make sure to convey that to whoever I'm dealing with, to say, listen, we're not just providing a roof over someone's head and doing the bare minimum. No, if we're not responding to maintenance in at least if it's an emergency the same day, or if it's a courtesy call within 48 hours, then I'm not giving them a space that they can rely on, they're going to feel comfortable in, right? One of my values is tenant happiness. That's part of transforming lives through real estate, right? What are your values, and what are your personal values, and how can you translate them into your business, right? So goals. So again, I want to buy this many units. I want to be in these areas. I want to buy this kind of property. I want to create this kind of a revenue for myself, and let's backdoor that revenue that I want to create myself into what kind of vacancy rate I want to have, or in what kind of rents I want to achieve, or in what my expenses need to be, whatever it is. So translate those goals into all the team members we already just talked about, okay? So expectations, this is what I expect. I'm going to manage you on these parameters. So, and then the last one here on now and later, what this is through picture is this is displaying delayed gratification. Now, Liz and I are married. We've been married for 13 years. And I think that to speak to the married couples in the room, right, for a second, there is a certain lifestyle that being a real estate investor requires. And that being a real estate investor doesn't always allow, especially when you're getting started, to, have to live at the top of your expenses. Liz and I lived way below our means when we first got started so that we could be real estate investors, and so that we could sometimes wait to get paid a bit or take care of other things in the business before we took care of ourselves, right? So as a real estate investor, and it can be a very lucrative business, but in the beginning, you need to be attached to delayed gratification and maybe not buy the absolute first new car that you want when it comes out, or live in the largest house you can afford, or whatever it is, or whatever it is. Just be attached to delayed gratification so that you can play the long game. And if your spouse needs to be aligned with you playing the long game in this business, and I mean...
Or any partner.
Or any partner, right. Yeah, or anyone needs to be, if you want to go delayed gratification with your partner, then maybe we don't need all brand new computers the first day we start up our company, or whatever it is.
So we talked about alignment, right? Where do you want to see alignment? Your values. The partnerships and the times that we haven't been as on the same page have been this area. We're different. We have different styles, right? Beginning of this, he was dancing up here. I wouldn't be dancing. I was like, what am I going to say? I was more nervous. So we have different styles, right? But we're very aligned with our values. So if you are partnering with someone, you meet somebody at this conference, you're going to JV a deal with somebody, you got to make sure you have the same values. And you have to ask them that. What do you value? Why are you doing this? You know, if it's for them about making money and you want to transform a neighborhood, is that different? Yeah. You might be able to do both. But if one's putting one higher, so you got to get aligned. This is all about being different. So there's things to be similar on, and then you have to have diversity. So there's 3 things that you want to be different on. What would those 3 things be? To have a successful partnership or a successful team? Skills. I planted that, yeah. Skills would be one. What else? Before I tell you. Experience. What's the last one? What's that? I can't hear you, I'm sorry. Oh, the job. That's important, but that's not my third. My network is a good one too. Network's a good one, but it's not. Resources, time, all good ones. But the last one that I'm going to tell you about, but they're not my answers. But you're wrong. No. I'm too nice. I'm like, those are all good. That's my way of saying you're wrong. But anyway, behavior. So what I mean by that. Okay, skills obviously are pretty clear why in real estate investing you want to have different skills on your team. What's a really important skill as a buy and hold investor? What's a skill? Negotiation. Analysis. Problem solving. What's that? Yeah, money management. People skills. Communication. Take any successful real estate investor. Do you think they're amazing at all of those things? No. There's no way. You can't be amazing and brilliant at all those things. No one is. So you're usually going to be really strong with something. And you should, if you're not strong with any of those things, then you just leave the conference. No, I'm joking. Then maybe this is the wrong business for you. But you have to be good at something, right? And then you want to build a what? Team around you to what? Complement where you are, okay? Who do we gravitate towards? Especially conferences like this. People like us, right? I come up to you, we're chit-chatting, I'm an extrovert. Well, we're going to get on to this behavior part. This is all about personality. It is the most underlooked, it's not focused enough on when you're building a team. We look at this, oh, what skills? Oh, great, you're analytical, great. I'm more of a people person, great, we can be partners, great. Experience, oh, well, awesome, you have that experience, I have that, well, let's go partner up. Well, that's too quick, don't move that quickly. This is the most underlooked and under-focused, so to speak, area that you need to focus on in building a team. And what do I mean by that? It's your personality, right? So you go to a conference like this, okay, and I had an expertise in a personality assessment. You're an extrovert. You smile, right? Who smiles? Extroverts tend to smile, right? I meet you, and you're smiling, we're chatting. Oh, what are you doing? We're chatting, oh, back and forth. We're like, well, what are you doing? Where are you at? Oh, New Jersey? Let's do something together, right? You gravitate to who? People like you. That's the worst person for you. No offense, not you, personally, of course. But people like you are sometimes the worst people to partner with and to build a team around. Why is that? And it's not just clash, but you're going to take longer to get things done. There are studies that when you have diverse personalities together, you have like the introvert who's more analytical, and you have the people person who's more like the big picture person, and they work together. They can get things done faster and more efficiently than if you put a group of extroverts together or you put a group of introverts. It's not just about niceties. They actually can get things done faster. I used to do team buildings, and I put all the dominant people together, and I put all the extroverts together, and I put all the analytical people. It was hysterical. The analytical people are all like figuring it out, and they're still figuring it out. The dominant people are no one's listening to each other, right? They're all like pointing, like they're all talking about their egos and how many buildings they own. Great. And then the people that are the extroverts are just not listening at all either. And then usually the formal people are just nice and chatting, you know. But you need diverse people. My biggest suggestion is to you, if you are somebody who doesn't know their exact behavior, their exact strengths from a personality perspective, take an assessment. There's a lot of ones that are free. Don't take free ones because they're going to tell you, oh, what color are you? You don't want to know what color you are. You want to take an assessment and go on there. Like StrengthsFinder is a good one. I worked with a tool called the Predictive Index. I don't work with it anymore as closely, but it's a great tool. I don't know if you can buy it or use it, get it. A lot of them are samples. So you can go on there and go, I'm going to use this for my company. Just take it. It'll give you the results. Oh, well, I'm not going to use it for my company anymore. Doesn't matter. A lot of the assessments that are really great out there, you can do a sample. I would highly recommend that to you. I can't stress that enough. If you don't know your own strengths and your own weaknesses, you will not be able to build a complementary team. So I worked with a tool, and most of these tools will measure 4 dimensions, right? And this is like a long training, so I'm going to be really like 5 minutes I'm going to give you here. But dominance is a trait. So people tend to be either very independent, dominant, a little more forthright, or they're more quiet and unassuming, okay? So somebody who's going to be a little more quieter in some ways, not quiet like introvert, extrovert, but just like, whoa, like they're not like, so someone, that's a personality shift, or someone who's more independent versus more unassuming, okay? That's also risk and caution. If you are a risk taker, you better have somebody on your team that's what? Cautious. Think about it. And if you're cautious, you better have somebody on your team that's more risk-taking than you, because that will be horrible if you're both risk-taking and jumping into deals everywhere. The second one is extrovert, introvert, okay? And I know there's a lot of stuff out there, and where am I getting my energy and all that good stuff. But really easy way is that, people that are extrovert over-communicate. People that are introvert under-communicate. Andres and I started a podcast. We've been working together as partners on that project. I'm more of an extrovert. She's more of an introvert relative to each other. And where I'll be like, hey, Andressa, let's talk about this. She'll just send me a text message. And I know that's more of her communication style. I'm like, no, I want to talk to you. And I know her. So I'm like, she doesn't want to talk to me about this. But I want to talk to her. But I know that I'll tend to over-communicate, and she'll not in a bad way, but so we meet each other in the middle, Third one is how quickly you process things. People that are very fast-paced, and you got people that are a little more methodical and calm. That's a personality trait. Both are really helpful. And then the last one is usually attention to detail. How many people like detail? And other people like, don't give me any detail. Yeah. Does that help? Yeah. When you're not detail-oriented and you're a real estate investor, you better have people on your team who are. Because it is a detail business, which I told my husband millions of times. This is the key. If you don't have alignment, and if you're disconnected on alignment and you're disconnected on personality traits, you will end the partnership. They will not be a long-term team member. There's no question. So you need to have this, and you'll still get frustrated. Do you think people who are detail-oriented get frustrated with people that are not? Yeah. I'll send him something. I send you an email. Oh, I didn't get the email. I'm like, what? Why? I sent it, and it's just,
I didn't open it yet.
I did it again. So anyway, but here's the thing, is that you don't want extreme. So if you are someone who is a very dominant person, right, and you know that about yourself. That's why taking an assessment tool, I can't tell you how important that is. And you know you're an extreme dominant person. Well, partnering with someone who's an extremely not dominant person will not only be not diverse, but it'll be oil and water. So you want diversity on a team. You want difference, but you don't want it at the cost of so different. And in alignment. The team members that have not worked for us over time, the values have been different, the long-term goals have been different, and the personalities have been different. And that's a recipe for disaster. And partnerships end that way. And they have for us. Not us. We're still going.
Right. Other people.
We're still married. Okay. So, my slides here. Does this make sense? Yes. So if you haven't taken an assessment, please go out there and take one of these tools. And take it with your team member, and take it with your partner. It will really help. So the next thing here. Come on. Common roadblocks. Here are the 2 things that are going to screw you up. Communication, conflict. Right? Think about any partnership or any team member or any relationship that hasn't worked. Right? It's not like, oh, we have no conflict and we communicate great. Then you probably have a good team member. You have a good relationship. Right? So anytime there's a disconnect, are usually one of these 2 reasons. Here's the thing. You have to know what your preferred communication style is. Point blank. I know I'm a verbal communicator. I know I'd rather pick up the phone. I know that my partner on Jess is not. But doesn't mean I will not call her and get annoyed when she doesn't want to talk to me. But I know that we work through that, and that's good. Had I not known that, I could call her and be like, why isn't she getting back to me? Doesn't care about this. And then you start making up what? Stories. How many people love to make up stories about people, right? We make them up all day, right? So know your communication. I could tell you, you are either an over-communicator or you are an under-communicator. People are usually one or the other. They're not like in the middle. They usually overdo it or they underdo it, usually. Know your style. If you're working with someone different than you, you have to what? Adapt. I know that's hard. We don't want to change. We like who we are, and people should change to be like us, but that's not going to work, right? It's not going to happen. So you have to shift. Conflict, we could have a whole day on that, right? Conflict resolution. And I'm going to speak to that in a minute, but I'm going to show a quick video.
It's just, there's all this pressure, you know? And sometimes it feels like it's right up on me, and I can just feel it, like literally feel it in my head, and it's relentless. And I don't know if it's going to stop. I mean, that's the thing that scares me the most, is that I don't know if it's ever going to stop.
Yeah. Well, you do have a nail in your head.
It is not about the nail.
Are you sure? Because, I mean, I'll bet if we got that out of there...
Stop trying to fix it.
No, I'm not trying to fix it. I'm just pointing out that maybe the nail is causing...
You always do this. You always try to fix things when what I really need is for you to just listen.
Yeah, see, I don't think that is what you need. I think what you need is to get the nail
See,
out.
you're not even listening now.
Okay, fine. I will listen. Fine.
It's just, sometimes it's like, there's this achy, I don't know what it is. And I'm not sleeping very well at all. And all my sweaters are snagged. I mean, all of them.
Yeah, that sounds really hard.
It is. Thank you. Ow!
Oh, come on. If you would just...
Don't.
Try to see things my way.
So, it's funny, right?
Oh, shit.
That's a whole other day, right, of how we're doing on time. Okay.
Oh, that's so funny. Oh, my God.
So one person, not just the man and woman, but one person's more what? A fixer, and one person's more what? Empathetic. And knowing that diversity, right? So communication, I want everyone to do this. A-okay. I want you to put it on your chin. Put it on your chin. Put it on your chin. I didn't say chin.
Rick got it.
Is this your chin?
Rick got it right.
Where's our chin? I was saying what? I put it on my cheek. So why did most of you, you're all very bright people, you're real estate investors, why'd you put it on your cheek? I know that's true, I could do that. But why would you put it on your cheek instead of your chin? Because what is more powerful? What you see or what you say? What you see. Okay, so much of communication is body language. And in our technology age, what happens? What gets stripped away? Body language. How much percentage do you think of our communications body language?
58%.
It's a lot. Yeah, 60%. It's the words we actually use is about 7% of communication. So 93% is actually nonverbal. It's what you don't hear. But yet, in so much of technology, we strip it all away, and we wonder why there's conflict. We wonder why people don't understand what we're talking about. Okay? That's why the tools are so helpful. Skype, all these things and what have you, just to see people. Okay. So body language is huge. Are you an under-communicator or an over-communicator? Okay? And be mindful of that, and then adapt to the people you're working with. Okay? You have to adapt and shift. Seek first to understand. How many people have read 7 Habits? Highly Effective People. It's a great book. Written in the 90s. One of the best business books I still think has such value today. One of the principles is called seek to first understand. How many people seek to first understand? Think about it. Do we seek to understand first, or do we want to be what? Heard. We want to be heard, right? Especially when you're in conflict, right? You don't go in there and go, I'm frustrated, but I want to hear what you have to tell me. So please, go ahead. I don't know about you, but I just want I don't want to talk to you. I want to go to bed. I don't want to see your face now. Just like, whoa. So seeking to first understand, how many people have partners right now, currently? And when you think about people, team members, partners, family members, all of this is applicable, but especially with our teams. Start using this. Start trying to understand. It's really hard, right? I mean, it's hard for me sometimes. I don't sometimes understand where people are coming from, but I need to. And that's the one way to do it. And adapt your style. If you are someone who is a control freak and you're working with someone who's not, you have to what? Learn to what? Adapt. And it's hard work. But by adapting, what will you gain? More synergy in order to achieve those goals you want of owning more units or doing notes or whatever you're taking away from this weekend. Okay? Is it making sense? I don't have any more videos. Sorry, I know you like that one. So conflict. I know no one in this room deals with conflict, and all of our lives are perfect. But if you had to deal with conflict, how many people? What are some of your strategies? Avoid it. Yeah. If you're not as dominant of a person, you will avoid conflict. People that are dominant go right at it, and that sometimes is the reason why they don't always see eye to eye. Yeah. Quick to listen, slow to speak. It's really a good strategy that most people don't use. Yeah, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. We should use it in that proportion.
Not using blaming sentences.
Yeah, coming from what? And what would you use instead?
From the first person.
Yeah, here's what absolutely. You're going to have conflict. If you have team members and you are in a relationship with a business partner on a team, you're going to have conflict, right? I'm not telling you anything you don't know. So it's managing it. Don't avoid it. You can't avoid it, sorry. You said to avoid it, but you can't avoid it. Why can't you avoid it? It only gets worse. It's like a hole, right? The hole gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it just becomes, I don't want to see your face. Now, meanwhile, 3 months before, it was actually like we could talk about this one thing, but the one thing becomes 3 things, and the 3 things become 10 things, and then it's like, I can't work with this person, right? But did it start out that way? No, it actually didn't. It started out with one thing we had to work on. Deal with it quickly, okay? Don't avoid it, and then deal with it quickly. Part of a mastermind, because my mastermind ladies are in the room, we read a book called Fierce Conversations. That's the book it's called, right? Fierce Conversations, great book. If you are someone who does not feel like they are really good at dealing with conflict, which most people aren't, we all have to learn, pick up that book. It's called Fierce Conversations. And it actually teaches you a process. The woman's great. She teaches you a step-by-step process on how to have fierce conversations, so to speak. So, great book. And make adjustments. Biggest thing most people don't do. They hear from the person, they're a partner or a team member, they understand there's a disconnect, they talk about it, and they leave that meeting and they never what? Make an adjustment. You got to make an adjustment. It's like learning to do something that you're not used to. And this is work, but you're going to get a benefit from it. Okay.
Keep going.
Okay. Matt's done. He doesn't want to talk anymore.
You're on a roll.
Ongoing activity. So what are the ongoing activity? You're building a team. You're maintaining a team. What's the things that you also want to continue to do as you move forward with teams and partnerships? Reassess? Yeah. Reinforce goals. The other key thing is that do you have meetings? I used to work with leaders, and I said, you guys don't communicate enough. And the manager's like, no, I meet with them every day. We communicate so much. But what do you think I meant by you don't communicate enough? Like, not tasks, but what? Working on the relationship. You need to put in your schedule working on the relationship times. So if it's a lunch, it's a quarterly meeting, you need to have face-to-face time that's not talking about the to-dos or who's calling these leads or who's doing this in the business, but real relationship building meetings. And that's a lunch or a quarterly, whatever, but you need to have those times. And you will get refreshed on why you're partnering with this person. Does that make sense? So, one quick thing. The other 2 things would be relationship building, it's ongoing, and always be recruiting. What I mean by that is that not that you're going to be necessarily hiring employees, but you always want to be meeting people. So they might be a future team member or a future partner, okay? A lot of our team members, we don't pay a salary, but we both get paid somehow, and it's about creating win-wins. So I hope this was helpful. Any questions?
What's the Real Estate Investerher Show?
Oh, it's a
What is that?
These are a couple of ways we do education. Matt does a lot on our YouTube page. We do a lot of education for real estate investors, and the Real Estate Investors, a podcast where we interview great women investors, and we made it for women investors. So.